episode of State of the Jungle presented by First Star Logistics with Malik Wright. I'm your host, Malik Wright. Wow. Was here earlier as we did the live show for the sit down with Malik Wright. Was here with Jules, here with Evan. But, I had to come at you guys live because the Cincinnati Bengals do what they always love to do. They like to make a splash, if you will, if you want to call it that. But they like to go against the grain, if you will, and announce signings or sign players at midnight or close to midnight. And so, I had to jump in the studio, talk with you guys about this entire thing. But you know what? This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Anyway, proud that you guys could all join us here. So Bengals signed Irv Smith Jr. And I'm really curious. I want to hear some of you guys' reaction in the comments if you guys can. I'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts on it. So a couple things I want to debunk. A lot of people have been saying, I've seen on Twitter, well, this means the Bengals won't go tight end in the first round. Wrong. That does not mean that the Bengals won't go tight end in the first round. This also doesn't mean, right? This also doesn't mean um the Bengals are done either. As I told you guys at the start of free agency, expect a lot of players to sign 1-year deals with the Cincinnati Bengals to try to recoup some of the value that they may have lost on their previous teams. And that is what we're seeing now. Um, I I feel good about this signing. I think Irv Smith is a guy, being an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, he's a guy that I got a chance to watch a lot of. He's a guy that I think has tremendous upside. He's a guy that I think has a lot of untapped potential. Now, injuries, nicks, and things of that nature have sort of stymied him a little bit, but he's a Bengal now. And as we've seen with the Cincinnati Bengals, whether it be the Hayden Hurst of the world, right? The uh CG Uzama, the Bengals are really, really good. This offense is really, really good at getting value out of tight ends that the league may have not seen in the positive light. And I think that this is a great move for the Bengals. I think this is a great move for Irv Smith in his career. And I'm very, very curious to see how it all works out. I still think the Bengals draft the tight end pretty early here. But the fact of the matter is the Bengals finally got left free agency with the tight end, and they got a guy that they feel very, very confident in, that they're really, really excited about. And Daniel, let's get to some of these questions. This is what it's about. It's not about me yapping. It's about answering some questions for some of the people, and we'll go there.
Make sure you guys drop down any questions, any comments you guys have, any
Yes,
even opinions,
and
on Irv Smith.
and if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a goal where we're trying to hit 2,500. So yes, if you have not done so already, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We appreciate your support. I love doing these impromptu shows. No place I'd rather be than in the First Logistics studio with you guys. But yeah, let's get to some of these questions.
Somebody asked, "Is this live?" Yes, this is live.
This is live. This is live in the flesh. Who is live at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Doing this after already doing a show earlier today.
So the big question that a lot of people are asking is he a good enough pass blocker? Obviously, we've seen him, really thrive in the receiving world coming out of college in a stint, with the Vikings, but is he a good enough pass blocker? Uh, yeah.
Good enough. That is a good question. I would say he's okay. It's not the best thing he does at all. He's more of a receiving type of tight end. Listen, but you're asking the wrong guy. I didn't think CJ Uzama was the greatest blocker. I think he's a willing blocker. I think Irv Smith Jr. is a willing blocker. The fact of the matter is, I don't think that I don't think that the Bengals will be asking Irv Smith to do too much blocking. Again, I expect him to get their guy a well-rounded tight end in the draft. I will expect that.
People are asking, some people are saying, is there any truth to the fact that he has butterfingers? Some people are saying that he struggled with drops with the Vikings. Any truth to this?
There is truth to that. There is truth to that. That's the one thing that kind of threw me off with Irv Smith. And that's why I also wanted to make sure I got it here and I talked to you guys about it. I didn't want people thinking that, since the Bengals signed Irv Smith, that means that takes him out of the tight end game. And that could be further from the truth. Irv Smith did struggle a little bit with some drops in Minnesota, but I also think that with a better quarterback play and in this offense, I do think Irv Smith can get a lot of opportunities as well.
Good question here from Isabel. She's saying, "How is his run after catch? Hayden Hurst showed a lot of toughness after catching a pass. Does Irv Smith Jr. Bring a lot to this scheme that the Bengals run with tight
That
ends?"
is a good question. Is he first and foremost, is he? I hope you're feeling better too. I we saw Irv Smith do it in college. We saw flashes in the league of it, but it hasn't been a lot to really gauge from it. I think that there is a lot of oh, I gotta use that caution word, the word that I hate the most, upside when it comes to Irv Smith. There's a lot of potential. He has the potential to finally break through, especially in this Bengals offense. So I think that we can see Irv Smith break through in this Bengals offense, but to date, I don't think it's really been something we've seen um, just yet. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say, "Oh yeah, Irv Smith is gonna immediately come in here and make an impact." I hope he does because the guy is very talented. He's ridiculously talented. So, yeah.
I know you already touched on it a little bit, but people are asking Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer. Can you just tell the people if a tight end falls to them in the first round,
Mhm.
what do they do or what should they do?
I've been on the record saying this. If Michael Mayer is there in the first round, I fully expect the Bengals to draft him. And I'm not coming off of that. I fully expect the Cincinnati Bengals to draft him. They showed a lot of interest in him. I think Dalton Kincaid is a very talented tight end, but I also think he deals with a lot of injuries coming into the league with some back injuries already, which I think could scare some teams off. Darnell Washington, the best thing that he had going for him, I'm be honest with you guys, is his blocking, right? You see a lot of upside there with his 6'7" frame, and you think that there's a lot of potential there for him to really develop into a solid receiver there. But that wasn't his calling card. People would turn on the film and they would see just a mauler, right? They would just see a mauler um, at the tight end position. And I think with the additions that the Bengals have made to the offensive line, like an Orlando Brown and things of that nature, and the right tackle position still has to play itself out in some ways. As of right now, Jonas Williams is slated to be the right tackle. Obviously, there are trade rumors out there, but his market might not be exactly what he may have thought it would be, and his agent may have thought it'd be, or maybe the league sort of views him at, right? And certainly the Bengals aren't gonna trade, Jonah Williams for a bag of chips. They overvalue their guys. That is on record being, to be the case. So, I think that when you look at it, well, for a guy like Darnell Washington for blocking being his calling card, you gotta bring a little bit more to the table than that. I think the Bengals are gonna look to try to get somebody who was well-rounded, and who's the most well-rounded tight end in this draft? Well, his name is Michael Mayer.
So I hate to simplify it, but a lot of people are asking, do you think this is an upgrade over Hayden Hurst? He loves Hurst, but Smith seems more athletic and he's younger.
Yeah.
Is he an upgrade?
I think he could be an upgrade over Hayden Hurst, but again, it's about to prove it. Like you have to show, you have to, you have to, you have to pretty much be able to perform for anybody to feel comfortable, right, with this signing and say like, this guy is a guy that could be definitely an upgrade over Hayden Hurst. Now, I saw enough of Hayden Hurst to say that he was going to be an upgrade over CJ Uzama. I I think that Irv Smith has the potential to be better than Hayden Hurst because he is athletic, because he is more of a natural receiver, I would say. But it's one of those things where you have to see it.
We got a lot of people saying, no question, but Malik, you are the real MVP for coming on here this late, 1 a.m.
Yeah. I appreciate that so much. I wouldn't rather be doing anything than talking with you guys. Sorry if I have a couple of lapses in there. It's kind of late, and I'm trying to keep my wits about me as much as possible. But I appreciate you guys. I wouldn't, I love doing this. If you guys could do me a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications. This upcoming Wednesday, we have War Room for State of the Jungle, as we will be breaking down all the Bengals picks for 7 rounds. We'll have a whole different setup. John Sharon will be joining us on the show as well. So pretty pumped up about that. But let's keep it going.
A pretty good stat. I think this is actually very interesting. Who Dey Know It All said Hayden Hurst only had 16 snaps in pass blocking, so it will be fine with Irv Smith and pass pro. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Only
I
16
mean, that
snaps.
and that's what I mean. Like, they're not gonna ask Irv Smith to go out there and, you know, be the traditional tight end, if you will.
The platypus was asking about the draft. He said, I was going to ask if Kincaid is in play there too. Figure he might be below Mayer as well as us based off his
I
lack of blocking.
I know for a fact the Bengals really like Dalton Kincaid. I don't share the same sentiment, but I think he's good. I just that the injuries are concerned, the age, being up there in age and, finally breaking through and things of that nature. They like Kincaid, they like Michael Mayer. It'll be very interesting to see if either of them are there. I'd expect one of them to be there, honestly. Um, I'm wondering how, how much, the way he tested. Um, if I want to know if I want to know how he tested will kind of plummet him a little bit, meaning Michael Mayer at all. I'm not sure if it will, but it'll be interesting.
Do you see the Bengals bringing in another tight end before the draft like Drew Sample? Bengal Kyle said it's pretty thin at the position.
Do I think the Bengals are bringing another? I think the Bengals are interested in bringing another tight end. You figure they brought in Ethan Carter. Remember that name, guys? They brought in Ethan Carter in for a visit recently, so that's a guy that they view very high. I mean, that's a position that they view very very highly as well.
Our guy Delta Sapphire said, "Howdy, Malik. Been watching all these, and y'all are honestly such a pleasure to watch. Wanted to ask, is there a market for Dalton Reisner right now for the Bengals, or
First,
what is the market in general?"
first and foremost, thank you so much. I haven't heard too much on Dalton Reisner. Then again, I haven't really asked too much on Dalton Reisner. Is it Reisner or Risner? I'm not exactly sure. I don't.
It might be
Either way,
Risner. I'll check.
regardless,
We'll
I know
wait.
that was a guy the Bengals liked coming out of the draft. This is a guy that I'm an advocate for. It's a guy that I'd love for the Bengals to bring in. He's anything you can do to try to protect number 9 that of all costs that should be the MO, um especially when you look at the last few seasons that have ended due to offensive line play. I think the Bengals should. It's hard to find great offensive linemen in this league. And Dalton Risner, I'm not saying he's great, but he's good. He's a good offensive lineman, and he's a guy that I think that can be an upgrade potentially on the offensive line. I'm curious if that guy would even be willing to play, some tackle. I think he played that in college as well. So Dalton Risner is a guy I'm confident I like a lot.
Gavin said, "I'll be disappointed if they let Mitch Wilcox walk." TBH, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah. I think the Bengals like Mitchell Wilcox, but I think here's one thing I'll say to you guys. I think it's you gotta look at certain free agents. There are certain free agents that are just sitting out there that market is just non-existent. And I think the Bengals look at it as if they can go pick these guys up at any point in time and bring them back. Same thing with the Eli Apple and things of that nature. There's no reason to rush, you know what I mean, and get that going.
Tyler said, "If we drafted Michael Mayer, would he be the day one starter?"
No, I think that you don't. I think any rookie tight end that you bring in, obviously you'd like them to become the starter, right? But I think he'd be the starter over the season versus be the starter from week one because there's a lot of nuances and intricacies that we want to make sure. You want to make sure that a tight end is getting acclimated to life in the NFL. It's a little different. It's a little different, right? The game is it's a lot faster. You want things to start to slow down. And tight end positions, I believe I saw a stat out there where it said tight end positions is probably the least. When a rookie tight end comes in, they're probably the least impactful their rookie season. And I don't know if that's due to situation, but then again, a lot of tight ends aren't coming into pass happy type of offenses like a Bengals offense and things of that nature. So I do think if the Bengals draft a tight end, they can have success quite early.
Jim asked, "Did the Bengals ever look at Cameron Brate, the former Buccaneers tight end, in their tight end search?"
No, not that I'm aware of.
Jawan said, "How would you rate overall this signing?" He thought it was a pretty good signing.
I think I rated a B, a solid B. I think it's a good value pick. I think it's a guy that you're hopeful can develop into something. Um, but it's like I've been saying, and I love what Delta is saying.
Yeah.
Delta saying the longer these guys stay on the market, the cheaper their prices come down. I told you guys going into this thing. I know I've been getting some DMs. People say you haven't put any gifts out this year, and just I can explain that briefly if that's okay, Daniel. I haven't put a lot of gifts out this year because when I did comment on a few things, I got a lot of backlash for people I guess being enamored with the rumors types accounts and people that come up with stuff like that. So like I don't want to be jockeying for position. Like I'm here to report the facts and tell you guys just what I'm hearing. It doesn't mean I'm always right on things and things of that nature. But yeah, I think that you got to look at it. Like the Bengals, there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to want to come to Cincinnati and sign 1-year prove it deals, and that's what we're seeing when we first did the free agency show. And I said that that this is the type of stuff that I was talking about. You're going to start to see a lot of players come here and sign 1-year prove it deal. Sidney Jones was one. Cody Ford was one. You know what I mean? So like that's what we're seeing right now happen in Cincinnati. A lot of people are coming here and they're like, okay, the Bengals are a championship contender. We want to play here.
Really quickly, people were talking about him being Butterfingers. I just looked at his stats. He was only, marked with having 4 drops in his entire career. Albeit
Yeah,
he didn't play a lot, but
now
only
now
4.
now here's what I will say to that to combat that.
Yeah.
The person that first asked about that, his drops came in critical moments. So I think that they loomed a little bit larger than the typical
Yeah.
drop that you may get.
Yeah. People are asking about the Sidney Jones signing. Do you think the Sidney Jones signing speaks to the end of the Eli Apple tenure? And overall, what's your thoughts on Sidney Jones with Bengals?
No, I don't. I don't think that. And first one was I appreciate the question. I don't think that that spells the end of Eli Apple in Cincinnati in the slightest. I think that Eli Apple's a guy that Cincinnati could bring back any point in time, and I think it's a good depth piece. I think Eli Apple is a good depth piece. One thing we've learned the last couple of years, you could never have enough corners, right? Especially a guy that knows your system. Now on the Sidney Jones signing, I loved that move. I loved the way he tested. Um, the simple fact of the matter is, I think Sidney Jones he's an athletic guy, right? He's a guy that came into the league with a lot of high hopes. Remember his pro day, he tore his Achilles and things of that nature. But I definitely think that when you look at Lou Anarumo's defense, if he's able to get the most out of Eli Apple, I certainly think he can get the most out of Sidney Jones. I think Sidney Jones has a higher upside than Eli Apple. And I think that Sidney Jones is a guy that can definitely fit right into the system and play well. Remember, he's a talented guy. Talented guy.
I might be putting you on the spot a little bit here,
Sure.
but Austin said probably hard to compare him. But if you could compare Irv Smith to another tight end, who would it be? Maybe you have to think about that one for a little bit.
If I had to compare Irv Smith to another tight end, who would it be? Jonnu Smith.
I like
Jonnu
that.
Smith. I would and no, not because their last names are Smith, but I think Jonnu Smith is the perfect comparison for Irv Smith personally.
Jim asked, do you know if Cincinnati was in on Foster Moreau before his diagnosis? And was Irv Smith plan B, or did interest in him develop after the news broke?
I can't really speak to if he was plan A, plan B, or whatever the case may be. I know they were interested in Foster Moreau. I know Foster Moreau was taking his time to make his decision. I know it was a very tough decision for him, whether to pick the Saints, whether to pick the Bengals. We don't, and the fact of the matter is nobody knows, um, you know, what Irv Smith, what Foster Moreau was leaning towards, whether that was Cincinnati or whether that was New Orleans. The only person that really knows that was Foster Moreau. But needless to say, the one thing that's important right now is that man getting healthy in his health, and just sending him best wishes and prayers for sure.
Lucas said, hey, Malik, much love from Brazil.
Appreciate
Are
that,
we
man.
going tight end or running back in the draft?
I think that they address both in the draft. I think they address both in the draft. Now, if you're asking me first round, I've remained steadfast on this. I think the Bengals draft a tight end or a defensive lineman in the first round.
We got people, asking about the offensive line really quickly. Our guy
Yeah.
Daniel saying, what's the sense you're getting from the team about right tackle? Carmen, is he the front runner?
I think the Bengals are really hoping that Jonah Williams will come to his senses and play right tackle for the Bengals. I think that's what they're hoping for. I think that it's a situation that still hasn't played out. Jax Carmen certainly will have a chance to win the job, but there by no means is Jax Carmen going into the season as the right tackle. I still think this thing will play itself its stuff out, honestly. Self out.
Brad said, love y'all for coming on late live. I just read the news as I got off the work.
Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, all 210 of you people in here for joining us. I appreciate you guys. Make me smile. And I was like, man, should I jump in studio and go here? So studio is about 20 minutes, 23 minutes, 25 minutes from the house. And I was like, yeah, man, I definitely got to make sure we pop in here. But the simple fact of the matter is I appreciate y'all. If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, but more importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications, because we have a special State of the Jungle show going live on Wednesday for Bengals fans, and I don't want you guys to miss it.
A lot of people are asking, our guy Josh included, he said, do you think that the Bengals are going to draft a defensive tackle to potentially replace DJ Reader since he's in the last year of his contract?
No, I don't think the Bengals have any plans to replace DJ Reader. DJ Reader is a guy the Bengals want to keep for the long haul. And if you really think about it, his position is really inexpensive when you look at the grand scheme of things, especially for his level of play, right? The Bengals got, when they signed DJ Reader, they signed him with the expectation that what we're seeing right now is what he would blossom into. DJ Reader is probably one of the most underrated, defensive linemen in the entire league. He doesn't get talked about enough. He doesn't get praised enough. And that guy just shows up and he just, puts on a hard hat and he does his job and he makes life hell for opposing offenses. He's a clog in the middle. He's the reason why the Bengals were able to completely transform their defensive line and be able to stop the run. You guys remember before we signed DJ Reader, the Bengals couldn't stop the run to save their life. Now all of a sudden the Bengals have got sure tacklers, right? And DJ Reader is truly an anchor on this defensive line. So no, I think DJ Reader will probably finish his career in Cincinnati.
Real quick running back question. Is it possible that Mixon and Elliott both take big pay cuts to play with the Bengals next season?
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't know what the hell Ezekiel Elliott, what his thought process is, or what he's hoping to gain, or what he's hoping to do here in Cincinnati. Nor do people I talk to. I think it's one of those weird situations where they don't know what the Bengals are doing. I know the Bengals plan to draft a running back at some point, but I really can't speak to the Zeke situation at all.
Delta Sapphire said, we love this late night vibe. A lot of people are loving that we're in studio this late, Malik.
Appreciate y'all, man. Again, wouldn't be going live if it wasn't for the best fan base out there.
Lauren said, Malik, what's your evaluation on Kalijah Cansey? Does he make sense at 28?
I like Kalijah Cansey. I wish he was a little bit I feel like he gets a lot of praise for himself in the passing game. I'd like to see him improve a little bit more in the running game as well. To me, he doesn't seem like that real dominant presence as much as other people say he is. I think he can develop into that, and I think he has a lot of talent. I don't think that he's the same exact prospect that an Aaron Donald was coming out of Pitt, even though I know people are obsessed with the comparisons and the way he tested was freakish. But yeah, I think that because he won the underwear Olympics, you could see that guy get drafted a lot early than probably anticipated. But yeah.
Our guy Patricio said, much love from Mexico, Malik. So far, and aside from Orlando Brown, what's your favorite Bengal signing of free agency?
I first and foremost, I appreciate the question. You probably knew that was probably a cheap answer I was going to give and say Orlando Brown, right? But for first, I would say my first signing of free agency hasn't happened yet.
Your favorite hasn't? Really?
Yeah, because I haven't gotten a chance to really address. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
It's not done yet. So we got to wait and see.
Completely. People are asking Jonah Williams. What is Jonah Williams' market right now?
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of teams that are interested, but I think that there's a lot of the Bengals not being interested in the offers that are being offered for Jonah Williams, which is expected. Again, I try to temper people's expectations. The Bengals are a very difficult team to trade with. They're a very difficult team to trade with.
Dylan said, what's the worst case scenario for the Bengals in the first round of the draft? If you had to say a worst case scenario.
You said a worst case scenario?
Yeah.
Man. Worst case scenario for the Bengals. I don't really know if there is a worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe a trade up, maybe a trade back.
I mean, I don't know if that's a worst case scenario though. I mean, I think that the Bengals are in a position where and the way they're kind of setting things up, they can do BPA. I really think that they're in a position where they can do that. I do want to know. I want to ask people, what is the obsession with DeJuan Jones?
Yeah.
Like, I watched the guy. I see he's talented. I see he could potentially be something special, but to me, it's a lot of boom or bust potential. Like, it's not a lot of in between, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the people are going to say. We'll go back to that once they.
I think people love the size.
Yeah.
That's about it. I think people love the size. Size isn't everything, though.
Yeah. Isn't he from Ohio State, too?
He is. You know how,
yeah. That's your answer right there.
I'll be honest with you. You know how I feel, and I don't mean any disrespect when I say this. I don't like Ohio State offensive linemen. We just don't have a good track record with them.
Yeah. Austin, he said, do you see Cheeto getting re-signed next year with the assumption he comes back to his old form?
Oh, yeah. I think the Bengals, it's so hard to find a number one cornerback in this league, especially an underrated one in a guy like Cheeto. But I'd also be lying if I said, Cheeto probably, I could see a world in which Cheeto tests the market. Remember, because when he signed that deal with Cincinnati, it was much more like a prove it deal, like where he wanted to prove himself, right? And recoup some of the value he may have lost in Dallas, being played out of position at times and things of that nature. I could see a scenario where Cheeto wants to test himself in the open market, and I could see a scenario in which he gets a ridiculous amount of money thrown at him.
Yeah. I mean, he's elite, and once he comes back, it'll definitely help. Shino said, "Gotta go. Peace out from Canada. Who day every day."
Appreciate you, man.
Chasten said, "Is there any news on the visits? How they went with Terrell Basham and Kentavious Street?"
No news.
Yeah. Orlando Pace was great.
Yes, he was.
Malik, what would you do if Michael Mayer is not there at 28?
If Michael Mayer wasn't there at 28, draft bet BPA. I think a guy that needs to get more love that isn't getting more love. Shout out to my person, Marissa Myers. She said, Will McDonald. Will McDonald is a name that I feel like is underrated and should be talked about a lot more.
Yeah. People said Jones is going to fall to the mid-second round.
I could see it.
DeJuan Jones, Darnell Washington, Deuce Vaughn, Bengals become the Monstars from Space Jam. The Platypus said Will McDonald.
Yeah.
And Michael said Darnell Washington needs to be the pick.
No.
Jim said, thoughts on Lamar Jackson. Do you think he overplayed his hand a bit?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he overplayed his hand, and I think the Ravens getting handled a lot better. There's a lot of growing both parties need to do. I think for as much as we praise the Ravens organization for being able to draft well and evaluate talent, we need to also be able to criticize them and talk about how they fumbled this situation, or as they like to say, they bungled this situation with Lamar Jackson. I mean, how do you let your franchise quarterback go without getting paid, and you decide to pay an off-ball linebacker $100 million and reset the market value of that position? Pretty insane to me.
There was one last question about Irv Smith I want to touch on from early on. They said, are you concerned about Irv Smith not having, a lot of rep in the NFL so far through his 3 years?
For sure concerned about that. But I also think that if he's going to be something in this league, Cincinnati's offense is the one to do it.
Tyler said, I watched a mock draft with the Bengals, and they had the Bengals getting Sam Laporta in the first round.
Yeah, that's insane. No way in hell.
People are
no way in hell. No way in hell. And if that happens, Bengals fans should riot. I like Sam Laporta, but ain't no way in hell he's the best player available on the board. And he's not even tight end 1. So it's either you draft tight end 1 or you don't. And I again want to let you guys know, if you guys notice, I'm this is mock draft season where people just put out picks, right? And they just, they say, and this is an exciting time. It's an exciting time. I haven't put out one mock draft, but I will tell you this. Not yet. Me, Evan, and Logan, First State of the Jungle, this upcoming Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be doing our live War Room show where we'll be breaking down all 7 rounds of the Bengals draft. And we want you guys to be in the comment section and giving your opinions. We'll literally be watching live as the picks come off the board too. It'll be a legitimate, like a War Room. You guys get to join in on the conversation. So make sure you guys give this video a like, but more importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the post notifications, because I don't want you guys to miss when we do go live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be our most electrifying show. It's something I've always wanted to do for years.
All right, keep it going for a little bit.
Let's keep it going. I've gotten it.
I just want to make sure. Just wanted to make sure.
All the way here.
Just want to make sure. Seem a little tired. I was like,
no. Listen, you guys. I appreciate. I hope you guys know it is late. I'm fumbling on certain words. I apologize for that.
So All In Jay said Anton Harrison. We were talking about him earlier. Actually, is he a possibility at 28?
Who?
Anton Harrison. He's the edge.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that with this whole Jonah Williams situation, the way it is, how wonky it is, I think that you could definitely see a Darnell Wright, Anton Harrison being in play.
So I guess that kind of answers your question. But Oscar said, do you prefer Darnell Wright over DeJuan Jones?
100%.
Ooh, good question. Or Daniel Jensen saying, Malik, tell people about Javon Dexter. How much juice does he give the defense?
Javon Dexter is that man. I like Javon Dexter a lot. I think he has a lot of untapped potential, and I think he could be an absolute stud on the defensive line. Seriously, I think he could be an absolute problem. I remember when Geno Atkins was coming out, a lot of people didn't see Geno Atkins being what he was, right? And he turned out pretty damn good for the Bengals. I'm not going to say Javon Dexter has that upside, because I'd like to think that Geno Atkins is a future Hall of Famer. But I think Javon Dexter is a problem, and I think Javon Dexter would definitely help give some added juice.
We got a lot of people saying Jules is an awesome addition to the show, and people are really, really hyped up about Jules.
Jules is awesome. I agree, and she has a lot of talent, and I'm really I don't just say this often. Me and Evan we're really grateful, and Daniel included. We're really grateful we get to work with somebody who's so honest, humble, and really good at what they do, and they bring a joy to the show. She's really just awesome to work with.
I see a lot of people talking about your guy Jahmyr Gibbs really quickly.
Mhm.
Jahmyr Gibbs is a home run hitter, but not a replacement for Mixon. What's your thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs? How good can he be if he were to be
I love
drafted?
Jahmyr Gibbs. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I just wish that he would be there in the second round. I
Never
wish
say
he would be.
never.
You never say never, but I don't expect that guy to be there in the second round. That guy he's Isaiah Pacheco on crack. And I just love the juice he brings, and I think he'd take this offense to the next level. He'd be exactly what they're looking for in the running game, a guy that could just hit the hole and forget all the dancing in the backfield and all that stuff like that. Just yeah, I'm a big Jahmyr Gibbs fan, and not just a Bama boy. I'm a big Jahmyr Gibbs fan.
Would you trade up from 63 or whatever the Bengals second round
Would
pick
I
is?
trade up from 6,300% if I could, or whatever, or wherever wherever the Bengals. I don't know exactly the number. 65? Is it 65?
Or 60?
Whatever.
No,
Just let's keep it
60.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, 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 no,
Whoa, whoa.
Michael. It's not that. This has nothing to do about Bama. This has nothing to do about Bama and Georgia. I love Nolan Smith. There's nothing to do about Bama versus Georgia. I promise you, brother. Just being honest.
Oh man, Austin saying sticking with the draft. Do you see a world where the Bengals trade back? I'm assuming the first round.
I don't. Sure, but again, you would have to be offering a lot for the Bengals to trade back. I promise you guys, like when it's stuff like a premium, like regardless if it's the end of the first round, beginning like 28 is still a premium position. And you're gonna have to offer a lot for the Bengals to come off of that. The same thing with a Jonah Williams. You're gonna have to offer a lot for the Bengals to come off of that. The Bengals are not interested in doing what's best for Jonah. They're interested in doing what's best for them.
Chasten, and this is a fun one about Joe Burrow. He said, "What's your favorite Joe Burrow play so far with the Bengals?" If you
My
have one.
favorite Joe Burrow play, there's two. The first one is where it was his rookie season. He was running down the side. He was running to his right, almost went out of bounds, tossed it down the field to T. Higgins against the Tennessee Titans. T. Higgins catches the ball. Like, I don't know how he got his feet in bounds, but he somehow got his feet in bounds. Absolutely ridiculous. The other play I would say, this is tough. I won't pick the same play from the same game because it was an awesome catch by Tyler Boyd. I don't know how those two were in sync and how he knew that ball was coming in, but I would say the other play was against the San Francisco 49ers primetime football game. Joe Burrow scrambles around. He throws the ball to the back of the end
The
zone.
Jamar
Jamar
Chase,
Chase, toe
somebody said
drag,
that. Yeah.
swag.
Hmm.
That's got to be my favorite play.
Yeah. You're on the same page with some of these. Like Chasten said, literally the same exact one. All right, going to some more questions. Jim said, Malik, if Jonah isn't starting week 1 at right tackle, who would you guess is lining up there? Rookie, Cody Ford, Carmen, or Denergy?
A rookie. I would say a rookie.
Isabel back here with another question. She said, do you see the Bengals possibly taking less for a trade in regards to Jonah Williams in terms of his salary cap hit? That's if they find a trade partner.
I would, but I don't think that I don't again. I think the Bengals are a very difficult team to trade with. Whatever the Bengals wind up getting for Jonah Williams, if they trade him, I think it's going to be something that the Bengals could sleep well at night and say, okay, we got something back for him.
Bengal Kyle 513 said, what's Irv Smith's best traits? Is he a burner? Is he a route runner? Is he a blocker? What's his best traits?
I wouldn't say he's a burner. I would say that he's just athletic. I think that's the best thing to say about Irv Smith. And having an athletic tight end is huge, especially in this spread offense that the Bengals have.
Isabel said, extremely interested to see where you have Anthony Richardson falling in the draft. Where do you think? Top 5, top 10?
I think Anthony Richardson goes in the top 10. I do. I think a lot of people are in love with the size. A lot of people are in love with the arm talent. A lot of people are in love with just the physical traits. And that's one thing he has over a lot of these other quarterbacks in this draft, right? You look at him, he has the right intangibles, the keyword that I hate.
Yep.
but he has the right intangibles.
The Platypus said, "Is there any position that you think the Bengals could go without drafting in the draft, other than obviously kicker and early round quarterback?"
The Bengals can go without drafting. That's a good question. I think that's tough.
Maybe
Linebacker? Yeah, linebacker maybe.
I mean, besides that, I don't really know. Wide receiver, you're probably going to get one. Backup.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, People are saying thoughts on Aaron Rodgers. Sounds like the Packers want too much and the Jets have no leverage.
Aaron Rodgers is a head case, is my opinion. I think that the situation with Aaron Rodgers needs to handle itself. It's a it's about jockeying for position right now. The Packers want to pick from this year, and the Jets don't want to give that up. They're willing to trade future draft assets versus this year's assets. Jets want to get a pick or something like that, just in case Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, because Aaron Rodgers has flirted with retirement the last few seasons and things of that nature. So it's just weird.
Trayvon Williams said, How do you feel about the Bengals still drafting Darnell Washington?"
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm my brain.
Wait, how do I feel about like if
yeah, how do you think? How would you like if the Bengals drafted Darnell?
I'm okay. Like, I mean, if the Bengals, listen, that's just not their MO though.
Yeah.
They like to go with more complete prospects at the tight end position. And obviously, they're going to interview everyone. I don't see it. I would be floored if the Bengals drafted Darnell Washington.
Got to get that reaction on camera for sure if it happens.
Well, it ain't happening, so don't worry about it.
Chasten said, "Besides the Chiefs game, what other game are you looking forward to this season, either home or away?" Because I know we're going to go to some.
I really am looking forward to the Chiefs game. I cannot wait. I can't wait for that game. Other games that I'm looking for, the San Francisco 49ers game, I'm planning to go to that one. Yeah.
Wandering Peacock said, "Is Brandon Allen the backup quarterback for next year?"
That is a good question. No idea. He's there though.
Yeah, and sticking with quarterbacks, Tyshawn said, "If Stetson Bennett is there late rounds, do we grab him as a backup?"
Would I grab him as a backup? No, I wouldn't grab him. Do the Bengals? Stetson Bennett, isn't it? I think the Bengals probably rather have Brandon Allen back over Stetson Bennett.
Yeah. Sticking with the draft real quick, Jim said, "Will the Bengals draft a quarterback or a punter in the draft?"
I could see a punter. Probably late though.
Yeah. Josh said, "Do you think that the Bengals draft an edge rusher or a defense tackle early in the draft?"
Definitely in the first 4 rounds for sure.
All in Jay said, "Malik, if you're choosing at 28, would you go Will McDonald or Javon Dexter?"
At 28?
Yeah.
Will McDonald, hands down.
Lawrence is funny. We're on the same page here. He said, "Grab Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, super late in the draft."
I love that. I may or may not have done that in a mock draft I did privately with Daniel.
May or may not have. Marissa said, "Jake Moody for punter once again."
Let's do it.
Daniel Jensen said, "Do you think the Colts take Lamar Jackson and terrorize the AFC South?"
I mean, it would certainly behoove them to do that. You know, it would certainly behoove them to do that, because the AFC South is for the taking. The Titans are rebuilding, I guess, if you want to call it that. The Texans are what the Texans are. Who else is in that division? The Colts,
Jaguars, and Titans.
I mean, I think the Jaguars. Listen, I think it would be a fight between the Jaguars and the Colts. You know, if it came down to that.
Jim said, "Malik, if you had to guess, is this the last year that the Bengals coaching staff will be together as it is?"
I fully expect this to be the last season. I believe Brian Callahan will be a head coach next year. I think Lou Anarumo should have already been a head coach, but I do think that there is a little bit of people looking at his age, and they're also, saying, okay, it's not the sexy name to go with, where we're going after the newer name, like the Jonathan. There's no reason why Jonathan Gannon should be a head coach over Lou Anarumo, especially some of the things that I've heard about that guy. But here we are, right? And it's, It's the Bengals' gain for that, for the team, for teams not hiring Luanarumo away. You would think that every team in the AFC West would be beating down that door to bring in a Luanarumo and not trying to get a Sean Payton out of the studio, to come coach your team when it's clear that he has the remedy or the recipe to slow down Patrick Mahomes and make life hell. But teams think that, I guess they want to go tit for tat with the Chiefs and Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So be it.
Justin has a good question. These are always fun ones. He said, if you were a GM for a day, what would be your next move in free agency?
If I was the what?
The GM, the
Of the
Bengals
Bengals
GM
for the day?
for the day. What would be your next move?
I would sign Dalton Risner. That's what I would do. I would sign Dalton Risner ASAP, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Wouldn't even think about it. Offensive line depth is huge. He's 6'5". I like his size. I think the guy is very talented. That's just what I would do. And and to answer your question, pitcher is definitely the replacement for Brian Callahan. But I expect Callahan, with all his connections around the league, to be a head coach next year. I do. And should be deserving of one as well. He's worked with a lot of great quarterbacks.
Sam Patterson said Lou dodged a bullet not going to Arizona.
100%. Arizona is a crap show.
DJ's asking about the offensive line. He said, assuming Darnell Wright is the pick, how would you feel about a starting lineup of Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, and Wright? If that's the pick.
I would think that offensive line would be a major upgrade to be one of the, on paper, one of the best offensive linemen the Bengals have had in years. And I think that you want to talk about building a fortress to protect number 9. I know the offensive players would love it. I think the Bengals would have a real shot at 3,000-yard wide receivers. I do.
Yeah. People are talking about Dalton Risner. Said, do you think the Bengals would sign Dalton Risner? That's the...
I mean, they should, right? I mean, they should be they should be a team that's interested in them. I gotta call my guy Benjamin Albright and see what's up with Dalton Risner. Why didn't the Broncos bring him back, knowing that this is an offensive line needy team?
Jim said,
an offensive line needy league. It's late. Sorry.
No, you're good. Jim said, what are your thoughts on the narrative that the Bengals are a tight end market free agent builder destination?
100%.
First CJ, then Hayden
100%.
gets paid.
100%. I'm telling y'all, the Bengals are going to be like the Patriots of the 2010s, right? Where free agents just sign here. You see people just sign here to sort of, reestablish themselves in the league. That's what this is about to become, right? I would have loved to see a Gronk in Cincinnati, but we're never going to see that, obviously. But that would have been fun.
Hey, maybe get a new Gronk and Michael Mayer.
Somebody said Gesicki for $4.5
million.
$4.5 million. Goddamn.
It's too late for that. People are asking about Jeffrey Simmons, I believe. Would the Bengals trade for Jeffrey Simmons?
I think a lot of teams in the National Football League would trade for Jeffrey Simmons. It's just a matter of what the asking price would be. And I don't know if they'd be willing to part ways with Jeffrey Simmons. I know people are reading into him deleting tweets and posts, but sometimes players do that for jockey position. I believe he has like 1 year left on his deal too. He is going into a lame duck year, no contract. These players get emotional and you see them delete tweets and all this stuff like that and make posts on stories. We saw Jermaine Pratt make posts on his stories and things of that nature. And yet still he's back here in Cincinnati, right? So like, I wouldn't just read too much into it. I wouldn't say that the Titans are willing to trade one of their best players, if not their best player on their team.
Couple more free agency questions.
Sure.
Chaston said, I want us to sign Yannick Ngakoue. It would be an awesome move. What's your thoughts on him?
So you say that one more time?
He wants the Bengals to sign Yannick Ngakoue, the edge rusher.
Yeah, I know who that is.
It would be an awesome move, he said.
It would be a great move. I just don't know if that's the Bengals' MO.
Jim's going to a guy that we talked about a lot in free agency. He said, thoughts on Gardner Johnson taking a 1-year deal with the Lions? I was shocked, but did his market dry up?
I just know the Bengals were never interested in him. And I don't know where those reports initially stemmed from. The Bengals were never interested in him, never showed any interest in him. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot of reasons why his market didn't shape up the way a lot of people were, thought it would. Some of it's character concerns, things of that nature, but it is what it is. He signed with the Lions. Wish him none but the best.
DJ said, is it realistic to see Joe Burrow and T. Higgins extended this offseason?
It's realistic, yeah. I'd say so.
Adam said, what do you think about the Bengals bringing in Calais Campbell to stop the run?
I don't know if Calais Campbell would want to sign in Cincinnati. It's kind of close to home with Baltimore and things of that nature. I don't know. If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Again, we have a huge show going live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time as we break down. We will go through a war room. We'll be talking all breaking down all of the Bengals seven round picks and things of that nature. And we want you guys to join in the conversation as well. So make sure you guys bring your comments, your questions, and your popcorn because this war room show is going to be absolutely crazy.
You good for a couple more?
Sure.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm hanging in there strong. Let me just take a little sip.
No, you're good.
I feel like a preacher almost. That's how I feel right now. I feel like a preacher.
Marissa said the live mock draft is going to be a must watch. Oh, completely. We've got people asking about, once again, the tight end room. What are the odds that the Bengals hold off on tight end in the early rounds and take somebody like Zach Kuntz or Luke Schoonmaker in the middle of the draft?
I like Zach Kuntz. I mean, I don't see them doing that. I don't think they're going to hold off on that position. I think they're going to attack it aggressively, knowing that the tight end market is not something that they can really afford to really dip into and allocate those type of dollars. It's much more reasonable and financially responsible for them to just draft a guy that they really like, because they're in a position right now where they can draft BPA, where they can splurge. Remember, the tight end is a luxury position. They're in a position where they can go out there and they can draft the tight end that they really, really like and, have them on a rookie contract and you get 5 years out of them, essentially.
Keith asks, what in the hell are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking a little buy, whatever, if you want to call it. A little berry raspberry, a little healthy drink or whatever the case may be. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Keeping me afloat. It's better. Hey, just so you guys know, I have a coffee problem.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
I've been kind of weaning off of coffee. Daniel has sort of taken coffee from me from the house.
And, I hit it. I took all the coffee.
So like now I'm just drinking one cup. He gives me one Keurig cup a day. I'm allowed to drink. I'm allowed to drink one Keurig cup a day, and then that's about it, man. So like I've been just drinking this. So my life, I guess.
Lauren said, remember we were all stoked on the Thad Moss wave.
Oh my God.
People asking real quick about Josh Wiley. I think that's Cincinnati tight end. Yeah. What's thoughts on him late round?
I would like that late round. I think the guy is upside. I do. Certainly not a guy that you expect to come in and be dominant right away or anything like that, but he can develop into something, I'm sure.
All right.
Any other questions, comments?
I think that's it. Yeah, people are asking, just got on here, any idea on how much the contract is worth? I know it's a 1 year deal.
Yeah, I just know it was a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
But
all good, I think.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us here. If you guys can do me a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please, trying to get 4,500. But turn on post notifications as well. We have
huge show.
Yeah, we have a huge show planned for this upcoming Wednesday. State of the Jungle, as we'll be breaking down.
Right now.
I'm crashing right now as we go War Room. We'll be doing our War Room episode, 7 rounds, breaking them all down. Me, Logan, and Evan will be debating them all. I cannot wait. But tomorrow night, we'll be back here. Not even night, tomorrow evening, we'll be back here 6 p.m. Eastern time for our betting show. The Right Bet, presented by First Star Logistics, sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining. And of course, Lawrence, man, we do this all the time. This is truly our interactive show. I appreciate and love all you guys. Thank you guys so much for always tuning in with us. Hopefully we don't bore you too much with our talks and ramblings. It's been a long day. So appreciate y'all. Make sure you guys are back here Wednesday. Make sure you're back here tomorrow for the Right Bet at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and for the State of the Jungle on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys give First Star Logistics a follow as well, because they make it all possible. Appreciate y'all. Have you